Rev up your engines!
Now, I had a customer the other day, and I'll give you a good warning. You got a modern car with one of those windshields that's got all the sensors on it, it can cost a fortune when it goes bad, and it may take a long time to even get it to work correctly after it's fixed. I've seen people pay over $1,000 to replace modern windshields that have all these sensors built in. But realize one thing, it's bad enough you got to pay all the money to replace them, put the sensors in. But they don't work automatically. They have to be reprogrammed. I have a computer that does it. My big old Think tool does that. It reprograms them. But it can take over an hour. You're going to pay a mechanic a lot of money to do it. A lot of the body shops, they don't know how to do it. They don't have the equipment to do it. Because everything's got to be reset. Once you put the windshield in the new sensors, they have to be calibrated. When you're going to rock in your windshield, you're probably going to wish that you didn't have that technology. You just had a plain old windshield that you're looking out of. Not one that, does everything and even butters your bread. And then when it breaks, it costs you a whole bunch of money to replace that windshield. And realize that this is even the case in some of the bumpers. You get in a fender bender and it breaks your bumper. A lot of the bumpers have sensors built in and it costs a fortune to replace them. And then, yes, again, they have to be reprogrammed to work with the system. It's not plug and play. It could be plug and play like our computers and phones, but no, they want to make it so they can rip you off and charge you a bunch of money to reprogram the system because that's the way they design them for cars. They're still way back technology-wise when it comes to plug and play. Hey, phones, you can put any app you want. The cars, no. They have to be reprogrammed. It's going to cost you a ton when those things break. And if you buy a used one and it's not hooked up right, you might think twice about buying the car if it's got warning systems on it and you find out the car was wrecked and none of that stuff was put in right and it costs you a ton to get it fixed. So watch out for that stuff if you're buying a used car. Do what's up, B says. I got a 2016 Sentra, 100,000 miles. It's doing good, but I'm thinking about changing the CVT chain and the transmission. Is it doable to maintain it as long as possible? Don't mess with that. Splitting the case and working on that stuff, you're talking about an immensely complex job. You need all kinds of specialty tools. I personally know excellent automatic transmission experts. They won't touch those things. They said, we have to buy so many specialty tools. We got to pay for Nissan software to analyze, to reprogram stuff. Every time somebody comes in with one, they'll tell me, hey, we tell them what's going to cost us, say, forget it, I'll get another car. Or if it doesn't work at all, they'll gamble with a used one from a junkyard. Just change the fluid in every 30, 40,000 miles and pray it lasts. It's not a do-it-yourself job. It's a very, very complex job on those front-wheel drive CVT transmissions. You're talking about taking a Swiss watch apart. And unless you're a Swiss watchmaker, I'd advise staying away from that kind of stuff. Don't even think about it. It's working. Pray it lasts. Don't think you can put that on yourself. Rock Trigo 89 says, the Toyota dealers in my area use the wrong oil. I got a 2011 Corolla. The cap says 020, but I go to the dealer and I buy the oil part change stuff because it's closer to my house. They sell me 5W30 oil. For 2 years they've done this. I've been using thicker oil than it says. Did I damage the engine? Should I go back to 020? It was designed for 020. That's what you should use. I don't know why your dealer's selling that. Maybe they get a deal on it and they sell it, make a bigger profit because it's 520 instead of 020, but it was designed for 020. That's what that engine was designed for. You use 530, that's a heavier oil. Upon starting the engine, you're going to get more engine wear than you are with a 0W20. Realize, starting up your car is 90% of the wear of your engine. There's bare metal, you start it up, it's got to pump the oil up. I go back to the 020. I have no idea why they're using 530. It was designed for 020. And it's designed to start up fast, warm the engine up faster, get better gas mileage, and lubricate the bare metal parts faster. Most of your wear is on startup. That's why I tell people the dumbest thing on earth is a stop-start engine, because every time you start it and stop it, you're going to have problems with the engine wearing. That's all the wear is upon startup. Why would you have an engine that stops and starts? Go gets better gas mileage, right, and pollutes less, and your engine wears out. Some of the stuff is just engineered by, I don't know, you wonder what's going on in people's heads. Yeah, they get better gas mileage rating. Right, yeah, and then your engine wears out and you got to buy another car. Stupid, just plain stupid. RJ Bra says, I got a 1991 Toyota pickup. Should I rebuild the engine or do an electric conversion? I got a 1991 pickup with 277,000 miles. I'm thinking of rebuilding the car. With electrification coming on, I don't know what to do. I'm 18, I major in automotive technology. I'm passionate about it, so I don't know what I should do. You're passionate about it, right? Do an electric conversion. Why not? You're a lot younger than me. I got 50 years on you. I'm 68. I just had my 68th birthday, right? So there'll certainly be electric cars will be a big thing as you go on. You're only 18. You might as well start learning now. And then, hey, here's something that could be really good for you. Major in automotive technology. You learn how to convert them. There's going to be money in that because there's so many cars out there. Why do people get rid of cars? Because the engines or trannies go bad. You're going to throw them away in a conversion. You could have a whole business where all you do is convert them. There's guys doing that in Europe now. Eventually, when electric cars do get big enough here, there's going to be millions of American cars that people will convert. Why would you spend $60,000 to $100,000 for an electric car when you got a perfectly good car in there? And if you can swap it over for $5-10 to electricity, do that. Don't buy the whole car. Why throw the baby away with the bathwater? So yeah, I'd say convert it. You can learn a lot. You're young, and you can have a good career doing that. If you get it done, show me. Make some videos out. Send me some pictures. Because there's a zillion Toyota pickup trucks out there that guys are going to want to convert. Richard says, I just cleaned the throttle on my 91 Toyota pickup, 270,000 miles. I replaced the air filter and cleaned the throttle body. It started to run bad, now it won't even start. I waited for it to dry. Help. You're ever going to do that again? Either unplug the electronics to the throttle body or just take the battery terminals off. Now, check closely your work area. Maybe you left the wire unplugged. Maybe there's a hose loose somewhere. The clamps aren't on tight. It could easily be something simple like that. That's an old car. It's a 91. They're not that sensitive for cleaning the throttle. My 94 Celica, I could clean it all the time. It doesn't do anything because the older ones, they're much simpler made. A lot of them don't even have mass airflow sensors. They got MAP sensors, and you don't even need to clean them. They're just measuring the barometric pressure. That's what they call their map. Look closely at your work area. Simply, you could have left something off or something loose. Start with the simple stuff. And then sometimes, hey, there's coincidences too. If it won't start, do my video. Fixing a car that cranks but doesn't start up. Scotty, watch that. I'll give you all clues to say why it's not starting. I'll give you everything you can possibly check. Well, if you're looking for a smaller, more affordable RV, they now have an accessible RV for wheelchairs. It's called the Winnebago Roam, and it's based on a Ram ProMaster. Now, Winnebago has made wheelchair accessible ones before, but they were generally Class A ones that are like $270,000 up. This Roam is a Class B. It's smaller, but it has the wheelchair accessibility. And if you get the option for the pop-up camper, you can sleep 4 people in it. Now, a lot of people, of course, build their own. I've met people here in Rhode Island that have wheelchair accessible. They built their own. They're going to be making one, but they make one called the Roam Winnebago that's based on the Ram chassis and has all that stuff built in. Like I said, it's a Class B. The Class A ones are $200,000, $250,000, $70,000. This, they say, is more affordable. Now, on the other hand, they don't even tell you the price. You got to fill out a form and say, I'm interested, and then they get back with you, all that hoo-ha. People are estimating it'll be $100,000. I estimate it's probably going to be a lot more than that. It's the problem with RVs. They're extremely overpriced. I know a guy in Houston who sells them, and he told me, when there was no one else around, he said, Scotty, I'd never buy one of these things. They're money pits. Their resale value drops like a stone. The build quality, a lot of these RVs is terrible these days. People are all complaining. They're just not building them right because coronavirus don't have enough workers and they have sloppy quality control. Be interested to see what they actually sell them for because they won't even tell you the price on the internet. And that tells you something. You know it's going to be expensive if they don't even tell you. And you got to get your phone and then you got to apply for a quote. It's expensive when they do that, but at least they're making one for rich people that need wheelchairs. $100,000 up, I'm assuming. Amazon still sells knockoff copies of the Autopilot Buddy for the Teslas, so that the magnetic pieces clip on a steering wheel, so it thinks you still have your hand on the steering wheel. You're bypassing their safety stuff, right? Well, they're still selling it. Sure, they're made in China. What it does, it reduces the warnings. It says, hey, put your hands back on the steering wheel. They're not there. Since it clamps on with magnets, it's like your hands are on the steering wheel. I mean, what a stupid idea to still sell these things. Now, these original ones cost $280, but the Amazon knockoff ones that some company's selling, they're only $87 and you get a $5 off coupon. And what you see the problems they have with these autopilots anyways, you're trying to bypass the safety stuff that it does have by putting this magnetic clip on it so you can drive hands-free and it's not going to warn you to put your hands on the steering wheel. Not a good idea. They should just stop selling these things. They should just ban them. Personally, I agree with what a lot of people are saying, that they shouldn't even call it Tesla autopilot system. It's not autopilot. It's not. It doesn't. You're not supposed to let it drive itself. There are no fully autonomous ones rated for the road, right? This whole idea and myth of, the future is here. No, it's not here. It's a long way in the future, if ever they get a good autopilot for cars. You own one, don't buy one of these things on Amazon. Not a smart idea. They shouldn't even sell them anymore. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.